been fighting their way through this bracket. Sam is doing interesting. You are going to destroy that chair. I don't think it's meant to do
Probably.
that.
She's an old chair. She's going. She's on her way out.
Yeah, that's my
And you
chair.
don't look like a short guy, so I'm pretty certain. Like I think just gonna collapse under your height there.
Collapse under my height. I know what you meant.
I was gonna.
You just
I was,
barely
Under
backed
your
out of that
mass.
W.
No, you're just a very massive man.
Hey, you guys look
strong.
about the same stature, and I don't think either one of you has got any poundage to
Wait, are
spare
you
there,
calling
my
me-
friend. You guys are pretty balanced.
Are you calling me as chubby as Sam is?
He just
Come on,
described
what
you
is
as
that?
balanced.
Wow.
Balanced.
Because I got a low center of gravity. It's all the power is in those thighs.
Wasn't it like that? That sounds like. No, I'm not going to go there.
Don't
It
you
sounds
worry.
like some name of some adult movie somewhere, like The Power of the Thighs or something.
We've
you know?
gone to a bad
Tony, all you
place
got to
right
worry
now.
about is I got 205 pounds to love you with.
Oh wow! Well, if it was 206, we'd have a deal.
Whoa.
Like some
Anyway, we've got our maps decided. How about you guys talking about them a little bit while I do my
Yeah,
admin
absolutely.
work?
So it looks like we're gonna go to Vonnie Research Station first. I like as a Protoss Vonnie Research Station. I know most Protosses, the popular opinion is all the new maps in the last season and this season are all terrible for Protoss. They're like Dead Wing's okay, Overgrowth is playable, the rest suck. But I mean, I guess from that perspective, I think Vonnie Research Station is one of the better ones. It feels a lot like crap. What was the snowy map at the top and the green map at the bottom?
You talking about? No. Oh, that was the last season, right?
Yeah, previous.
What?
I
know there was.
my God,
I'm
I'm
thinking of
blanking.
a different one. I was thinking of Test Bug, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I can't. Oh no, King Sejong, is that it?
No,
No, King Sejong was all.
it was all
Yeah,
snowy.
all snow.
It's been a while.
In any case, whatever that map was, it feels a lot like that one, with a little less shenanigans involved, and even more shenanigans, possible. I mean, with the rocks into the main. So it feels sort of like that one, which I think was okay for Protoss, just in that it's pretty easy to defend your natural, and it's super great for 2-base play. And if you're a Protoss taking more than 2 bases, why are you doing that? You could be taking 2 bases and all ending every game. So I think it's a
true.
really good map for 2-base timing attacks. And we've seen Bales isn't afraid to go crazy, to take his pants off and do something nuts. So
And you guys thought I took it too far. He's actually talking about getting half naked over here. Come
I
on.
know. So we can only hope that that's what he does. But I'll be interested to see what Krillmon does. This this isn't the map I thought at all.
Were you thinking
Secret
Expedition
Springs.
or Secret Spring?
Or Expedition Lost. Shoot, I don't even know.
What
now.
are you even? Have you even played this game, Sam?
Yeah, I've played the game, but the map names. Let me tell you, I know which one Overgrowth is.
I think one of the things that I'll take the opposite approach. That I enjoy a lot of the maps, but I also tend to enjoy also playing Air Terran, and a lot of these maps, particularly these ones that have got these sort of like island or peninsula style naturals,
Super
are very
Terran buff.
easy to harass. Like absolutely, like a quick drop here, a little sneak at the front, and Protoss can do that with the warp prisms the way they are now. You can do that very quickly. You can like sit it off just the edge of the map, put a little power field, and have just enough to warp in 2 Zelts right at the edge, and sneak the warp prism out safely. So I think that this map is warp prism friendly. Even but behind the third on each map, there's a lot of airspace behind it to hide warp prisms and mutas and things. So I think this is a very air-centric focused map where you can really keep a person off their foot off their game, because trying to run from your natural to defend there through this awkward path through your main to your third, you're never going to get there in time before the harassment vanishes.
Anywho, we've gotten to this game. Not
Yeah,
to cut
Kevin,
you off.
once Kevin's 20 seconds into the game, he's like, I haven't
time to
introduced players.
introduce.
And we're 2 minutes in. Kevin, take it away.
The bottom side of the map, we've got our green Zerg, kind of really fighting his way through the lower bracket of this tournament. He is Krillmon.
And spawning at the top. Just falling to the loser's bracket. Trying to go back for a little revenge. Our red Protoss Bales.
Well, so far we don't see anything very cheeky. Zerg taking advantage of that very defendable, or at least initially defendable natural. Bales just setting up with his Cybercore and his gateway, creating a little partial wall and an even smaller choke at his ramp. So far, No proxy pylons, no hatcheries in the natural or the third. So this really could go both ways. It looks like it may be a standard opening for both.
Yeah, although a little bit of 3 hatch before pool out of Krillmon.
Just a little bit of 3 hatch.
Just a little
Oh my
bit.
God. I mean,
I
which
just
is
saw that.
which is interesting because he did see. I mean, he had the opportunity to watch Moose Skills versus Bales, while he was waiting to play against Game Time, and he did see that cannon rush against Moose Skills. That
3 hatch before pool is not great against cannon rushes.
no, so a little bit of a gamble here, but turns out that it's going to pay off, and he sees a very standard opener out of Bales. I don't know if he saw whether or not that second gas is taken. I mean, is that even a thing that would be taken yet? Maybe
No,
not.
I mean, he's seen the cyber core and gateway,
Yeah, okay.
and he sees that a mothership core has started, so it doesn't even matter. That gas being taken, you might do if
I
you're
guess
like proxying a Stargate or something weird like that.
He
but
could have seen if there were probes moving back and forth too.
This is true.
Although no spot of the expansion, is that just implied? Probably.
But yeah, at this point, he knows there's an expansion there.
Okay.
So he's not really curious about anything there. He'll probably pop back in for a visit.
Yeah.
In about 2 or 3 minutes in order to check to see if there's any tech hidden there, any Stargates, anything like that.
Yep.
More likely the Stargates would be kind of where that forward lowermost pylon of Bales is, on the other edge. There you go.
Well, yeah. However, in this case, he's got it up in the top side, and Krillmon look like he's posed to actually be able to spot that out with his Overlord Scout. A little bit of a bold mothership core, getting a really just a scout off here. Does see that third hatchery
I'd
real
really
quick.
like to see the drone count there, but it's just not worth risking the mothership core or the need to recall in order to scout that.
Yeah, and the Stargate was scouted as called by this little Overlord just poking in just a little bit. So there's a Phoenix popping out. Quite obviously, that'll go ahead and clean up this Overlord and potentially put a little bit of pressure on Moose Skills, who's currently was supply blocked up until about a second ago. So losing this Overlord might actually supply block him or bring him close to it again. Still no aggression out of either player. I think what it is, they realize that this is I don't know, this is a big deal, and Bales is taking a much slower approach to it because he's been knocked out of the losers bracket, and Moose Skills is trying to fight his way back up. So there seems to be at least a psychological sense that there's a lot more on the line for these two players. So
Right.
No cheekiness, no cheese in this round so far.
Yeah, and so what we'll see out of here is from Bales a pretty standard. He'll make 4 or 5 Phoenix, and probably it looks like he's already got the robot down to rotate out of that. So what you're hoping to do, clean up any Overlords out on the map. You hope to get a couple of drone kills if possible. You don't need any. It gives you some good scouting information. And you get to see their tech in every other sort of build order as a Protoss. You play a little bit blind for a middle 4 minutes or so, and this gives you the ability to get that scout. And if you're diligent, if you're playing well, you're able to get a little payout from them. He has already picked off an Overlord. Maybe he gets a Queen out on the map, spreading Creed.
Mm-hmm.
He picks off a Ling at the Watchtower, something like that.
And that's really the benefit of having Phoenix out. They're very fast. They're a skirmish-like unit where they can pop in, do a couple of things. Like here, they pick up a couple of Lings, a couple of drones. They stalled Krillmon's gas production for a moment. So if he was relying heavily on some sort of timing like that, it might be off by a few seconds. But Phoenix are kind of a double-edged sword. They can do a little bit of attacking. They can do support in it.
Oh
but then
no!
the big thing is scouting.
The
Whoa.
Zealot just a little bit out of position there.
Those Lings were greased up before they were sent over because
They slid right in. Forces the Photon overcharge, and it looks like he'll just take the Lings to the third. There's not enough to really get a lot done here, but it means he either pulls his Phoenix back or he chases him with a Mothership Core and a Zealot. And
I think the important thing here, though, is that Krillmon got to see a robotics bay coming down, so he knows that you don't just idly make a robotics bay and not use it. He knows that Colossus, although the pretty expected follow-up to a Phoenix opener, it will be what...
he does get to confirm that Bales isn't taking a third right away, so he's not taking a quick third. It's pretty normal to take one as you're getting your first Colossus out, because you're able to defend, an early low count of roaches or just a quick flood of Lings.
Okay.
You know, these Phoenixes have been chilling over here, and in between the little skirmish with the Zealots and Zerglings up there, they have been able to pick off several workers. They picked off a Roach there. There's a couple Spore Crawlers denying them, but you know, the Phoenixes are getting good information as far as at least what unit compositions are coming out of Kromon's base. You know, doing what little they can with the low energy that they have. But they've gotten several kills, so he knows what's coming. He may not know exactly how many Roaches, but he knows that the transition has been made to Roaches so far in this match.
Right, and so we have a good sentry count out. The Mothership Core has a Photon Overcharge if this Nexus can finish, and he has a Colossus, so he should be able to defend this push. We'll see what Krillmon decides to focus down. He's got a lot of options. He can try to cancel gateways. He can try to go directly to the Nexus, but it looks like he's pushing in a little too far here. Almost some beautiful force fields.
Yeah, he really tries to do it. He tries to maximize it. He does split the... Oh, that's a nice force field there. Keeps him from getting up his ramp. Lets the two Colossus, because the second one just popped out, do their work. The Mothership Core chipping away as much as it can. The Phoenix now coming in to support it.
Where's my time warp? Just kill him all. He doesn't need it.
This one Roach escapes with exactly one health.
That's why I'm Diamond, because I overreact. I'm like, I gotta kill those last two Roaches.
Wow.
For everyone
one
at
escapes
home,
with 1 health and the other one with 9 health. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're all right. For anyone at home, don't drop a time warp to kill 2 Roaches. It's never worth it. There's no game that's worth it.
No, but go ahead and do it if you're Silver League, because it's probably the only thing you have left in your base.
That's true.
Because when I play Protoss, trust me, I have lots of workers and like a unit, so it's okay.
As it is, though, Bales has been extremely effective with his units and his resources this game, except for losing
some
a
good
couple.
transfuses on the queen.
Yeah.
Bales does a good job there when he shows up. There are the 2 queens there, and he grabs the one with higher energy first.
Yeah,
the other one didn't have
still
a
manages to maintain that 4 Phoenix count that you need to pick off an individual queen in one lift. So that, you know, good on him there. A lot of gateways coming up. It's about time to move out and just kind of roll over this Zerg, right?
I mean, yeah, if you're going to play Protoss, you should probably drop 8 gates, 2 Robos, get a lot of lasers on your side, and then box everything and walk across
I like
the map.
that. I like that. A lot of lasers on your side. I like that. I'm going to use that.
Absolutely. Please do. Please do. So we do have some pretty quick Vipers out of Krillmon for what his other tech is. Normally you see someone get a Hydra count out before they invest in Vipers. But here he's just going straight Roaches and Vipers. He might, he's got a Nidus, so he might try to bring the Queens to give him that little bit of added damage and added tankiness.
Yeah, although I think it kind of feels like the Nidus might not be used at least in an upcoming engagement here, because Bales is bringing the noise to Krillmon, and so Krillmon just has to stay back, use those Vipers to their best ability, and get the pulls off on the Colossus,
huge queen count, which makes this really tough to get through.
Well, there's also one thing else to note. I just noticed he does not have the armor upgrade for the Roaches, but yet the Stalkers have a +1 attack. So these Roaches are not nearly going to be as effective, but however, we don't get to see that because the recall is made and everyone goes back home.
Oh, will he get the hot pickup?
Might lose
that Warp Prism.
Might lose a Warp Prism.
Saved that poor Immortal.
Or I guess you can't really lose the Warp Prism because there's no Hydras. But yeah, now the attack is on Krillmon's. I guess his prerogative is to make the attack now. Choosing to do so, that's a beautiful...
So it's a beautiful SimCity to play against Roaches. Roaches have such short range. He's got to be really careful about the pickups. He does have some High Templar to push back some of the Vipers, and he's got those Phoenix, which can do the same. They have free reign, right? They just have to worry about the Queens. But we'll see what he does here. His Colossus are AFK.
No, they're way in the back.
Yeah, he's just trying to keep them far back.
Not even engaging.
Yep.
I think he'd just rather get those feedbacks off on the Vipers when he really needs them, and he's maybe just delaying the full-on kind of brunt of the attack until the Vipers are feedbacked, and I guess the Colossus can do work.
He uses the one Nidus Worm to go ahead and basically bring all of his Queens to the front. The few Phoenixes that are out here have got 3 Queens raised, but the strength and the transfuses for the Queens is just absolutely like holding this ridiculous army. But unfortunately, the lack of armor on the Roaches is allowing these Stalkers just absolutely evaporate this push. what looked like a sheer numbers advantage for Krillman has completely gone away because he did not get the armor upgrade for any of his units. He had +2 attack, but unfortunately Stalkers do bonus versus armored, and Roaches are just that, and so now these Stalkers are coming across the map to avenge their fallen brothers and taking out Nidus Worms and just everything in their path. There's 4 Mutalisks out, but I'm sorry, but that's just that's gonna be ineffective.
Well, now the Muta count has gotten up to 15. So maybe,
I didn't see the episode. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and a lot of spine crawlers.
Yeah, so we have Bales
coming
anticipating the Muta switch there because he saw such a high Roach count, so he's like, okay, where's your gas going? So he has dropped a second Stargate. It's just finishing. Phoenix build really quickly, but I think he lost all of his Phoenix in that last fight. So this is really uncomfortable, and I think we'll see Bales just try to force the issue unless he has a recall. I don't believe he does.
All the Mutalisks drop into the main of Bales. The Mutalisks are taking damage from the Stalkers on the one Phoenix, but they are attempting to clean up these Stalkers. If they can get past these 5 units here, they'll be able to do some worker damage. Unfortunately, some more warped in. The Mutalisks are forced to retreat. However, down at the south, we have some serious action going on down here. The Viper pulls a Colossus. The Stalkers are wailing away on Spinecrawler City, and the Roaches are just like, all right, guys, it's up to you, bros.
Yeah, and we have a pretty even engagement here. Oh, the Colossus going down is a terrible, terrible situation. So I kind of like Bales to just walk home right now. He has every advantage in the world, and he doesn't need to trade here. So if he goes back, right, he saturates his 4th, he stays on the higher tech that he has, cleans up the Mutas at home. These Roaches can't push and get anything done as long as he's at home, but he can die on creep against spines, so...
Yeah, and unfortunately now this is the situation Zerg never wants to be in. It's an even base where there's three bases mining versus 3 bases mining. The Mutas are trying to do their job, but there's a few Phoenix out to sort of repel them, a few Stalkers to make it. Ironically, Bales just now re-rallies his workers to start mining at his 3rd, but this Roach force pushing in completely negates the need for the 4th. And again, it's Stalker versus Roach and Phoenix in this case.
Yeah, so this is certainly cool if Krillman can pick that 4th before leaving. Makes it, where he's not in a base deficit. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have the economy to resupply, and Bales is going to trade really efficiently. Great blink micro out of him. A little blink happy, but I'll credit him. He won the game anyway. He didn't need it. GG Bales.
GG is called, and Bales takes game 1. And I really think I look at that, and one of the things I noticed in early, I completely got disconnected from Battle.net. What I noticed early was that you really have to keep your upgrades up, and I appreciate the fact that both of them had +2 attack, but the Roaches, were just getting hammered with that damage bonus from the Stalkers, and I think in the end, even though a lot of times it was even Roaches to even Stalkers, that upgrade advantage was just working for Bales like overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, really what we saw there was that first push out of Krillman, where he's pushing out with the right Roaches, and then those really quick Vipers, and what he needed was those money pulls on the Colossus. If you take the Colossus out of that fight, then it's a no-brainer. It's an easy fight. He even brings the Queens to help deal with that, to give a little extra tankiness. And if he's able to do that, he's going to shut him down. But Bales had a great SimCity there, right? And he was really good, very conservative in keeping his Colossus back there. So they don't get those pulls. He only brings them into the fight when they're really going to throw down.
And that's what he did. He kept him in the back. I mean, there was the joke. You're like, "Where's the Colossus?" And they were sitting back there. And I really think that you're right. He pulled his army back and he's like, "All right, fine. I can lose the gateways, but I can't lose the fight." So he lets the gateways get chipped away because they can't go anywhere because there's a choke point. And by the time the Queens got in, he had managed to chrono boost in some Phoenixes, and he was able to actually make that push. And I think you're right. That big push there was kind of the tipping point of the match. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, any situation, Bales was very comfortable in being able to push out after that fight. He has the higher tech army at that point guaranteed. There's no Queens at home. Yeah. And it forces Krillman to be like, oh, shoot, I'm going to build how many spines? Like 9?
It was like...
That was insane.
25.
I mean, there was just more... that was like the movie Tremors. I mean, there was like things just popping out of the ground everywhere.
And... really an interesting game, and yeah, I guess it really was that pivotal fight where Krillmon kind of being pigeonholed into Roach Tech. Although with the Vipers, but like you guys said, Bales did a great job of handling the Viper.
Yeah, I mean, he has just enough High Templar,
properly.
right,
Yep.
to make it scary to go in with Vipers, and then those Phoenix were pretty much uncontested at the beginning of the fight, so really
Yep.
cool play.
So now we have it loading into another big macro map. We have our players up into Deadwing. It is possibly the last match here, but let's see if Krillmon can take it back. Spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, we have a player from Flipside Tactics. He is Bales.
And sitting down, currently down 1-0. We have our not pink Zerg, Krillmon. He's green, and I'm hoping he can pull in. I did like his Nidus work. I'll admit, the last match, I did like the fact how normally as a Protoss player you put a forward pylon there so you can get a warp in reinforce, right? He actually attempted to do that in 2 places with Nidus Worm, so he could use a Nidus reinforce, which I actually thought was a very creative way to sort of use Protoss's own tactics against him. It did work. He did bring in the queens, for that push at the front that we've talked about probably about 4 or 5 times now. But still, I really like the idea that he was using Nidus Worms for the reinforce for otherwise slow units such as queens and roaches.
What if Niduses could load and unload faster?
That
That'd
would
be
be
amazing.
it would be a cool mechanic. I've thought that could be a cool new tool for
If
Terran
you could for Terran?
to have an ability of something like that. Kind of like in the campaign, they can drop infantry that they can essentially warp them in.
No, Terran doesn't.
Terran doesn't
has
need that, but I
Woodamons.
think it would be
No.
kind of cool to have
I'm Zerg. I want that for Zerg.
to have a structure they could build on either side
Oh my gosh.
to let them travel quickly across short distances.
What about just an upgrade for the Nidus network that lets me?
I'm thinking a hit
unload
point upgrade
4 at a
actually,
time.
like the
Hopefully the
cinematic
Nidus.
from the Heart of the Swarm. So if you've played through the campaign, you'll notice this gorgeous cinematic where Kerrigan at one point is riding a Nidus worm into battle, and it's absolutely awesome. Like she's sitting in the room and she summons one like from underground, and I'm like, you know what? There is no way in hell like 4 workers and a marine are gonna be able to kill that thing. So I think that's what Nidus needs in Legacy of the Void. I think they should be like something like a maybe not like maybe like an 800 hit point thing, so it's killable, but maybe not with workers.
Or if I could just ride on it, that would be sick. I'd be okay with that. Just the style, But both players getting quick early scouts on each other, so nothing too weird going to happen on this map. We won't be seeing, like with Moose Skills versus Bales, we won't be seeing that quick
Right.
Zergling takedown of Bales' base. But yeah, pretty normal stuff, I think, out of both players.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Bales builds his wall on this map a little bit farther away from his natural. You get to use less buildings, and so that's cool. But it is outside of Nexus cannon range.
Yeah, so like something like
A roach
the
push.
eventuality of a roach or a Hydra Ling push or something like that could certainly be pretty scary.
What is the range of the photon overcharge? Is it 10? Because it's big. It's almost
like
as like a
11.
tank, right? Is it?
It is. Yeah,
It's
it's
longer than a
as-
tank, isn't it?
As long as.
I just thought it was like just infinity. I don't know. It feels like it.
If you have the vision, it shoots as far as the Beta Tempest.
God.
Beta Tempest.
Wait, what? That was like 23 or something, right?
25.
Oh my God.
It might have been 23. It was real far.
That's like where you just go on like overgrowth and you just shoot from your base into his base and that's it.
Yeah, you could have. They had it was like a 25-second cooldown.
Wow.
It's kind of shenanigans.
But speaking of shenanigans, say shenanigans one more time, Farva.
Shenanigans.
We do have a lot of roaches. Well, for the time of the day, for the time of the game, a lot of roaches coming out of Krillmon. Gonna look to push down
And I think
this
this
front
is-
base.
This is preparation from Krillmon. He saw that Bales cheats a little bit on his wall on this map, and he's like, "Hey, I'll try to abuse that too." It worked for Moose Skills.
Yeah, and I mean, a mothership core just kind of plinking down at roaches, while the sound of a shot of a mothership core is
it
terrifying.
Sounds, yeah, horrible.
It doesn't really do a whole lot of damage.
It does in fact 8.
Which
and it
will-
does it at slightly slower rate than a Marine does. So, like literally, I think this Roach just shrugs it off and he's like, yeah, whatever, I'm getting killed, but I'm walking into this base no matter what because it's Roachin' time apparently. Although the Oracle apparently is here to help, the Zerglings help flood in, and actually the Photon Overcharge is hitting these units right at the edge of the building. So the Zerglings will probably be handled by the Photon Overcharge, while the Roaches take down the actual building themselves. Force field goes in to fill the void where the gateway used to be, and I don't know. This is not looking as promising as it once did for Chromon. Oh, do they sneak by? Oh, they get into the base, and havoc will be wreaked.
Yeah, and so he's doing something pretty good there. He tries to go directly into the main. He does get the Lings in, but the Roaches don't. I mean, it's still better, right? Because it forces something weird. It lost mining time, probe kills.
Yeah, but not as effective. The probes, despite the fact they are not necessarily combat units, are able to clean up the Zerglings. The Roaches are, this one Roach here, I'm going to call him Bob, is 9-2 dead. Those are his hit points. And so he holds, he's got a trio of cannons. He now has sentries to help reinforce. But he did lose the one gateway. He rebuilt it. But that was a fairly even trade. I'd say that both guys are in okay positions. Chromon does take his third, but then again, so does Bales.
Yeah, I really like that trade for Chromon. He makes 8 Roaches and about 8 Lings, and he's able to kill 6 workers to keep the Oracle at home, which is a pretty cool trade by itself. And he picks off the Stargate early, right? He also rushed out a few cannons, a few extra pylons, used up sentry energy, a photon overcharge. So a lot of cool things there for Chromon. He doesn't get quite as much damage as after he gets through as he might like, but he sets back any potential aggression from Bales, right? He gets that scout, and he slows down the economy a little bit of Bales.
All the
Yeah,
same,
the only
though,
thing-
I'd kind of argue that I would, if I would have to call favor for somebody, I'd definitely say Bales. In this case, I mean, just looking at the, although it's naive, looking at the resources lost, we're at 1,700 versus sub 1,000 for Bales, and as well as that, really not losing. I mean, now the worker lead has switched over into Krillnon's favor, but for a long while there, Bales is actually ahead in the worker count compared to his Zerg opponent, and so I think it really keeps Bales in still a comfortable position. And as we can see, he's as Bales seems to do, likes to make that explosion of warp gates.
Get
come
all those
down.
gateways, make a whole bunch of stuff, and then walk across.
It's like the anti-playa kind of.
Right, yeah, that's true. Playa likes to hang out at about 1 gateway.
Yep. He gets 3 gates, I think, by the time he's at 3 bases.
Something
Pretty
like
much,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
about a gate a base.
But
Until
he's-
the late game, we've seen him, and Playa is like a very scary monster in the late game.
Yeah.
As we've seen, he does. He's got sort of unorthodox compositions sometimes, but he'll eventually, he'll make a lot of gateways
Yeah.
and pull some crazy trades.
But now we've got Bales moving out with the sentries and the stalkers, looking to kind of counter these roaches with a high stalker count, be able to segment them off really well with the sentries, and even take advantage of the high range out of these stalkers.
Yeah. And
Although-
once again, the upgrade count, the upgrade is beautiful force fields there actually. It segment the few roaches apart. But once again, there is no upgraded armor for the roaches, but there is upgraded weapons for the stalkers. This is exactly like what happened last game. Krillman really needs to get on his upgrades because this is just far too many stalkers for the number of roaches he's got. They are not going to be able to hold this push, I don't feel.
And so we have Bales not really pressing the issue quite yet, just trying to be annoying. Looks like he's waiting for +2 to finish up on his weapons.
Yeah, this is... Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm a little bit nervous though for Bales to. Oh, that is. Speaking of good force fields, that one he definitely could have trapped his those roaches up into the little corner, but I almost said I was worried about this for Bales, but he takes an amazing engagement. A good start to that fight with those force fields, having that observer there for that burrow. And even having Blink to micro his stalkers away from the roaches. And
Did you mean the Oracle with his vision?
oh, it was Oracle. Yeah. Oh, dang. I'm a Zerg player. I just thought
No, that's
Zergers
all
did
right. So
vision.
Bales didn't actually have a